Though often considered the lightning capital of the world, Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela might just have a rival. Florida, particularly its central region, experiences even more lightning strikes per year than Lake Maracaibo, with over 1.4 million strikes annually. Florida's unique geography and climate creates a perfect storm for frequent, intense lightning storms that happen all across the state, especially in the summer months. But Florida doesn't just lead in total lightning strikes. The state's vast geography results in a high density of strikes, especially in Central Florida's Lightning Alley, where there are up to 10 strikes per square kilometer, a rate far surpassing Lake Maracaibo's localized concentration. This constant shower of lightning isn't just impressive, it's dangerous. Florida consistently leads the U.S. in lightning-related fatalities, with 10 to 20 annually since the 1970s, higher than pretty much anywhere else in the world. The combination of lightning strikes, fatalities, and injuries makes Florida not just the most lightning-prone state, but one of the most dangerous for lightning-related incidents. There's not just one mystery at play here, there's hundreds, and it all happens on a fragile strip of land barely floating above sea level. So what's really going on here? Could it be the clash of atmospheric forces, the fury of a climate out of control, a deep-rooted mystery buried beneath the surface? Or is it just the relentless heat and unpredictable storms combined with the wild, untamed nature that defines Florida's dangerous beauty? Today, we'll be looking at what makes Florida such a unique place to live and visit, and how, despite its challenges and unpredictable nature, it became a place that draws millions every year. Florida, a name derived from the Spanish La Florida, meaning the land of flowers, hints at the beauty that draws so many. Yet beneath that floral surface lies a surprising reality, a porous, ancient geological foundation like a sponge, riddled with hidden caves and surrounded by intruding seas. This huge state, ranking 22nd among all U.S. states in terms of area and stretching over 65,000 square miles, has more coastline than California. Florida's coastline, including both the Atlantic and Gulf coasts, measures 1,350 miles. California, although 163,695 square miles, has a coastline of 840 miles. Florida is also a place of many geographic quirks, where extreme weather is common and ecological marvels exist far from the tourist trails. So stay tuned as we pull back the curtain on the real Florida, exploring the geographic truths and uncommon realities that shape everyday life here, a side that you rarely see in the brochures. Florida's seemingly flat and solid landscape holds a surprising secret. Underneath, it's anything but. This state is fundamentally a massive limestone sponge saturated with water, almost like Swiss cheese. The highest point in all of Florida, Britton Hill, stands at just 345 feet, 105 meters above sea level, making it the lowest high point of any U.S. state. The second being Delaware at 447 feet, 136 meters. The majority of Florida lies nearly at sea level, with certain areas less than 30 feet in elevation. Much of the state, including densely populated coastal regions like Miami, has an elevation below 12 feet, 3.7 meters. This low-lying geography makes Miami and other parts of South Florida particularly vulnerable to the effects of rising sea levels associated with climate change. This ultra-flat terrain is no accident. It's the surface of an ancient limestone platform. Over millennia, slightly acidic rain and groundwater have slowly dissolved this limestone bedrock, creating a hidden, intricate network of caves, tunnels beneath the surface. These underground cavities occasionally make their presence known with startling abruptness. One moment, you might be going about your day. The next, the ground beneath you can vanish into a gaping crater. Sinkholes are a common and often shocking reality here. Florida's porous ground can collapse without warning, capable of swallowing cars, houses, or even entire streets in an instant. One heartbreaking example of this occurred in March 2013, when a sinkhole opened underneath a home in Seffner, swallowing Jeffrey Bush, who was asleep in his bedroom. His brother, Jeremy Bush, tried desperately to save him but was unable to, and unfortunately he was never recovered. Town of Seffner, Florida, near Tampa, where last night the earth opened up as it does increasingly and thousands of times every year in this country. This time it swallowed a 37-year-old man as he slept in his home. There's even a region in the west central part of the state, ominously nicknamed Sinkhole Alley. This rapidly growing region that surrounds Tampa Bay has the highest concentration of sinkhole activity due to particularly soluble limestone. The limestone is dissolved by naturally acidic groundwater and rainwater, which forms underground caverns and springs. According to Foundation Services, farming activities increase the problem when pipes are built beneath the area's roadways without properly backfilling, or when farmers pump warm water underground to help crops avoid freezing. However, people still keep moving here, meaning a likely explanation for what appears to be a growing problem with Florida's terrain may be that the state's increase in population translates to more encounters with existing, previously undiscovered sinkholes. Living on this waterlogged limestone platform means water is a constant presence in Florida. The state has over 700 freshwater springs, which many have claimed to be the highest concentration on Earth. These springs aren't just scenic swimming spots, they're lifelines, and they're a visible reminder of Florida's huge underground aquifer, the state's main source of drinking water. But this porous system comes with a catch. It's highly vulnerable, prone to surface pollutants and saltwater intrusion as sea levels creep higher. The same water that sustains life here could also be its undoing. The fundamental consequence of being land on a sponge is the ground's fragility and fluidity. The water table is often just inches below the surface, making construction challenging and leaving yards prone to flooding after heavy rain. But beyond the environmental factors that shape life in the Sunshine State, Florida faces several socioeconomic challenges. These include a notable poverty rate, high crime rates, and a significant number of households grappling to make ends meet. But which parts of Florida are struggling the most? And what are the underlying reasons why life there is so difficult? Located in northern Miami-Dade County, Opelika is just 12 miles north of downtown Miami and close to popular destinations like North Miami Beach. Despite its convenient location and access to Florida's beautiful beaches, Opelika is considered one of the most dangerous areas in the state, with a safety rating of negative 2.93 and a crime rate of 78 crimes per 1,000 residents. While it still attracts visitors for its proximity to busier parts of Florida, its high crime levels often overshadows its scenic appeal. Daytona Beach, although a popular destination for spring breakers, has struggled with homelessness, floods, and affordable housing for decades. And according to Neighborhood Scout, with a crime rate of 34 per 1,000 residents, Daytona Beach has one of the highest crime rates in America compared to all communities of all sizes. Florida City is located in southern Miami-Dade County, about 25 miles south of downtown Miami. Despite its proximity to major urban areas, it's also known for its high crime rates, with a violent crime rate of 17.56 per 1,000 residents, 6 times the Florida average. Your odds of experiencing violence are roughly 1 in 57 and 1 in 14 for property crimes. Tallahassee, the state's capital, is situated in northern Florida. While it offers cultural and political opportunities, its crime levels, particularly rising gun violence driven by gang activity, drug sales, and limited opportunities for impoverished teens, lowers its appeal. Tampa, a popular tourist hub, drew over 26.7 million visitors in fiscal year 2023, the biggest year ever for tourism. The influx of snowbirds and seasonal visitors keeps the activity high even in winter, but this also leads to significant downsides for residents. Many say that the city has become unbearable, and the overcrowding is now the worst part of living here. The beaches are too busy, the traffic is intense. In 2024, a study ranked Tampa as the 10th worst city for drivers in the U.S. West Palm Beach, with a population of around 102,000, is known for its art scene and beautiful coastal scenery. However, high crime rates often cast a shadow over its positive attributes, with over 5,600 violent and property crimes reported annually. The crime rate in West Palm Beach stands at 6.9% per 1,000 residents, much higher than the state average of 4.7% and significantly higher than the national median of 3.8%. While the city offers many attractions, safety concerns remain a major challenge for residents and visitors. Jacksonville, Florida's largest city by area, has a reputation for several challenges, including heavy traffic, a below-average public school system, and concerning levels of crime. According to FBI data, the city's total annual crime rate is 64 per 1,000 residents. Overall, crime in Jacksonville is 65.8% higher than the Florida average and 52.1% higher than the national rate. Also, 15% of the population for whom poverty status is determined in Jacksonville, 141,000 out of 938,000 people, live below the poverty line. Cocoa is located on Florida's Space Coast near the Kennedy Space Center. But unlike other popular tourist destinations, it is not typically considered a major tourist hub. As a result, residents often do not benefit as much from the tourism-related economic opportunities. The city's average per capita income is $38,114 compared to Miami-Dade's $75,182. Here, about 11.72% of residents live below the poverty line, and according to Area Vibes, crime is a significant concern, with a rate of 5,882 per 100,000 residents, over 153% higher than the national average. So outside of crime, poverty, and a general struggle to make ends meet, there is a weather challenge that affects the entire state and can be far more dangerous. Beautiful as it may be, Florida has a target on its back during hurricane season. Due to its huge coastline reaching into warm tropical waters, Florida is struck by more hurricanes than any other state, with more than 41% of all U.S. landfalling hurricanes since 1851 making landfall here. Hurricane season, running from June 1st to November 30th, means half the year is spent with one eye on the tropics. The most active period historically occurs between mid-August and mid-October, with the peak arriving September 10th. To that, almost all Floridians have an annual routine of stocking hurricane kits, having evacuation plans ready, and hoping for the best. Some years, the big ones miss or only brush the state, but the near misses and the ones that hit are part of local lore. And with that said, virtually every longtime resident has a hurricane story with the devastating impact of the likes of Hurricane Andrew, Hurricane Charlie, and the 1935 Florida Keys Labor Day hurricane wreaking havoc for Florida residents. The latter was a Category 5 hurricane that brought 200-mile-per-hour, 320-kilometers-per-hour wind and claimed the lives of approximately 400 people. But hurricanes aren't the only wild weather that can cause turmoil in Florida. Florida also experienced a surprising number of tornadoes, mostly smaller, short-lived ones, with Central Florida having one of the highest tornado densities per capita in the U.S., as found from the Storm Events database from NOAA's National Centers for Environmental Information. Between 1950 and 2016, Pinellas County, Florida's second smallest county, racked up 130 tornado segments for a density of roughly 46 segments per 100 square miles. But what about thunderstorms? As we mentioned, throughout Florida, even regular thunderstorms possess an intensity that can shock newcomers. The combination of heat and surrounding oceans makes Florida a thunderstorm factory. Floridians have a healthy, earned respect for lightning, and for good reason. Reaching temperatures higher than the surface of the sun and carrying about 1 billion volts of electricity, lightning is definitely a serious threat to humans. Florida is the lightning capital of the United States, experiencing more strikes per square mile than any other state, averaging around 1.2 million lightning strikes annually. Living here means quickly learning that summer afternoons can turn deadly in seconds, with explosive cloud-to-ground lightning a common sight. According to AccuWeather, Florida ranks 4th in the nation for lightning flashes behind Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. On average, Florida has 3,500 cloud-to-ground lightning flashes per day, and according to Vaisala and the National Weather Service, because of the dense population and the amount of people that spend a great deal of time outdoors year-round, more people are struck by lightning in Florida than any other state, and pretty much anywhere else in the world. Lightning Alley is a common term used to describe Central Florida, which stretches from about Tampa Bay to Orlando. Here, there is an exceptionally high concentration of strikes. In terms of lightning flashes, even the Miami-Fort Lauderdale region has recently topped the rankings. In 2023, it had the most lightning of any metro area in the U.S., around 121,000 flashes. Additionally, Florida continuously leads the state in lightning density. For residents, this means thunderstorm safety is drilled into you. When thunder roars, Go indoors is more than a slogan, it's a way of life. People get struck on golf courses, beaches, soccer fields, even while mowing their lawn. When speaking about Florida's tourist-heavy industry in 2018, National Weather Service meteorologist Tony Hurt said, "More people plus more thunderstorms equals more hazard and, unfortunately, more fatalities." This came following yet another year Florida topped the charts of the most lightning-related deaths. And to make matters even more concerning, we must bust a myth here. Lightning can, and often does, strike in the same place repeatedly, especially if it's a tall and isolated object. For example, the Empire State Building is hit around 25 times per year. However, the people of Florida have been conditioned for this. Many homes have lightning protection systems, and surge protectors are a must to shield electronics from sudden voltage spikes. Floridians also know not to take shelter under trees, a leading cause of fatalities, and even indoors they avoid using corded phones or showers during a bad storm. So we've covered threats from above, hurricanes, tornadoes, lightning. But Florida has another trick up its sleeve. Sometimes the threats come from below, and no, not sinkholes again. According to the FWC, alligators are in all 67 counties in Florida and can be found in practically all freshwater bodies and occasionally in saltwater. Although exact population figures are not known, it is believed that Florida has a healthy and stable population of about 1.3 million alligators of every size. Uniquely, Florida is the only place globally where alligators and the rare Shire American crocodiles coexist in the wild, primarily in the southern tip and Everglades. While crocodiles are seldom encountered by most residents, alligators can surprisingly appear in suburban neighborhoods. There are also a lot of snakes, with a few venomous species like rattlesnakes and water moccasins. While encounters aren't daily, they are a reality for those who garden or hike. According to the Florida Handbook, published by the Florida Department of State, roughly 300 venomous snake bites occur annually in Florida. But fatalities are rare. More concerning are invasive species like the Burmese python, which have established themselves in the Everglades. These large constrictors, likely released pets, are drastically impacting native small mammal populations, leading to state-sponsored hunts. Scientists in Florida are sounding the alarm over what they're calling a wildlife issue of our time. Also, insects are a significant part of Florida life, with mosquitoes being a major nuisance, especially in warmer months. With over 80 species of mosquitoes calling Florida home, the state's history has been marked by a continuous struggle to reduce their impacts. Giant flying cockroaches, also known as palmetto bugs, are a common sight indoors, making regular pest control essential. Fire ants, an invasive species, deliver painful bites, so caution is needed when walking on grassy areas. Twice a year, love bug swarms cover everything in their path, coating cars and requiring prompt cleaning to prevent damage. Living in Florida means accepting that nature is always nearby, sometimes whether you want it there or not. Now, let's zoom out a bit and look at Florida's unique ecosystems themselves and the environmental challenges that come with them, because the land that all these creatures and we humans inhabit is as unique as it is fragile. Beyond its famous beaches, Florida harbors globally unique ecosystems, most notably the Everglades. This slow movement of a broad, shallow river is known as sheet flow and gives it the nickname River of Grass. As a vital wetland, it acts as a natural water filter and flood buffer, though historical drainage for development has drastically reduced its original size and threatened iconic species. Massive restoration efforts are now underway to reverse this damage. The Everglades' influence extends beyond its boundaries, impacting water supply and even daily weather in South Florida, with evaporation fueling afternoon storms and dry season fires sending smoke into urban areas. Florida's other unique habitats include crucial mangrove forests that protect coastlines and serve as fish nurseries, and the Florida Keys, home to the continental U.S.'s only coral barrier reef. This reef, the third largest in the world, extending 170 miles, 270 kilometers from Fowey Rocks just east of Soldier Key to just south of the Marquesas Keys, is facing severe degradation due to warming waters, disease, and pollution, with large sections now bleached white despite restoration efforts. Coastal areas also face intense pressure. Rising sea levels and erosion threaten beaches, leading to costly sand renourishment projects. Cities like Miami Beach are already experiencing sunny day flooding from high tides. prompting significant investment in infrastructure to combat rising seas. Miami Beach's $400 million project intends to install 80 pump stations throughout the city, along with raising streets. The project specifically targets roads on Miami Beach's low-lying western edge to be rebuilt higher above sea level and account for future sea level rise. Also, locals withstand red tide, a harmful algae bloom in the Gulf that kills marine life and can cause respiratory problems. The algae, called Caronia brevis, began in November 2018 and has affected beaches along about 150 miles of Florida's Gulf Coast from Anna Maria Island to Naples. This natural phenomenon, made worse by pollution, can transform beautiful beaches into piles of dead fish. Florida's environment is undeniably beautiful. It's under constant pressure, from restoring the Everglades and protecting manatees to managing invasive species and tackling sea level rise. The state faces major environmental challenges. These issues have turned many residents into informal naturalists or activists, as the effects are real and impact daily life. Living in Florida means witnessing these environmental shifts firsthand, influencing the state's future as its population grows. So what is it really like in this land of rapid growth? We've seen how nature throws curveballs at Floridians. From the constant presence of water and the threat of sinkholes to the intense heat, wild storms, and wildlife, that's only half the story. Florida is far from a sleepy retirement colony. It's a booming, diverse, and sometimes chaotic place. The human side of Florida has its own set of lesser-known quirks, from explosive population growth and unique cultural mashups to the occasionally bizarre realities that have given rise to the infamous Florida Man phenomenon. Let's dive into the population realities and oddities of the Sunshine State. Florida is experiencing a dramatic population boom, recently becoming the third most populous state with over 23 million residents. It is currently the fastest growing state in the United States. Between 2021 and 2022, Florida's population increased by 1.9%, surpassing the previous year's fastest growing state, Idaho. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, this marks the first time since 1957 that Florida has held the title of fastest growing state, attracting people with job opportunities, relatively affordable housing, though costs are rising, no state income tax, and the warm climate. But this rapid growth is reshaping the state, leading to sprawl, legendary traffic congestion, and infrastructure strain. The increasing cost of housing, particularly rent, is outpacing wages in many areas, challenging the perception of Florida as a cheap place to live. In 2022, the Florida Policy Institute reported that Florida has become one of the least affordable places to live in the nation, making affordable housing one of the top issues impacting Floridians. Florida's population is also very diverse, with a large percentage born outside the state or country. This includes significant communities from the Northeast, Midwest, Latin America, and the Caribbean. This means communities often lack deep-rooted cohesion, but residents are generally accustomed to newcomers. The infamous Florida Man headlines are partly attributed to the state's transparent public records and active local journalism, which brings unusual incidents to light. For those unaware, Florida Man is an internet meme first popularized in 2013, referring to an alleged prevalence of people performing irrational and ridiculous actions in the U.S. state of Florida. While not necessarily crazier than other states, Florida's diverse and sometimes abnormal population contributes to these widely shared oddities. Another significant reality is the challenging insurance market. Due to hurricane risks, homeowners insurance is notoriously expensive and difficult to obtain, with premiums skyrocketing in recent years. According to Reuters, average homeowner premiums in Florida surged nearly 60% between 2019 and 2023. Flood insurance is often a separate necessity, adding to the high cost of protecting property in this beautiful but risky state. Tourism also heavily impacts resident life, with over 130 million tourists annually. Traffic and crowds can be intense during peak seasons, particularly in areas like Orlando and Miami. In 2024, Florida broke its own record, welcoming a record-breaking 142.9 million visitors, a 1.6% increase from the previous year. This makes Florida a top destination for travelers worldwide. Tourism is a key driver of Florida's economy, but it also means locals often avoid the crowded hotspots and adjust to the seasonal shifts in their communities. The influx of snowbirds in the winter and the retreat of residents in the summer further changed the pace of life. creating a unique dynamic for businesses and neighborhoods. Florida's human landscape is marked by constant growth and change, presenting challenges like strained resources and development pressures, while also fostering a vibrant, diverse environment. Floridians adapt to this mix of opportunity and challenge, embracing the quirks of living in a state that's always evolving. What is the reality of Florida life then? Well, the catch is that paradise comes with fine print. Yes, there is wonderful winter weather, but the summers are harsh. There are beautiful beaches, but you must be cautious of red tide, jellyfish, and rip currents. There's an abundance of beautiful sceneries, yet some may engulf your house or be home to large toothy reptiles. Yes, there's certainly a relaxed atmosphere, yet many places are growing rapidly due to tourists and expats. So simply put, Florida is truly a land of contrasts and never-ending surprises. Historically, Florida was a frontier that humbled those who came unprepared. Early Spanish explorers, lured by legends of paradise and maybe a fountain of youth, were ravaged by disease, heat, and resistance from indigenous peoples. Today, it is a land of dualities. Life here means reconciling stunning natural beauty with the challenges of intense heat, unpredictable storms, abundant wildlife, and a fragile landscape. These realities, absent from tourist brochures, are intimately known by residents. Geography and climate profoundly shape life, exposing the state to a wide range of weather and environmental challenges. Living in Florida requires a respectful vigilance, enjoying the sunshine while respecting the power of storms in the ocean, and appreciating wildlife while maintaining a safe distance. But here's the flip side. Those who embrace Florida's truths often fall deeply in love with the place. In Florida, you learn that paradise isn't a static postcard. It's a living, evolving place that demands respect. There are some sinister and some charming mysteries in the state. And now, you are aware of the reality of Florida life that nobody talks about, at least until they've made it their home. What about why living in the U.S. gets worse every year?